This is a Defocus Media production.
Audio Jungle.
What's up, everyone? It's your favorite optometrist, Dr. Daryl Glover.
And I'm Dr. Jennifer Lyerly, resident optometry nerd.
And welcome to Defocus Media, optometry's #1 podcast, where we discuss the hottest topics, latest technology, eyewear, practice management, and more. So sit back, relax, and defocus. What's up, everyone? It's your favorite optometrist, Dr. Daryl Glover. Happy Monday. I'm super excited today because I get to hang out with an all-star crew, an all-star panel, a panel full of leaders, a panel full of Eyecare leaders. And today we're going to talk about leadership. As a matter of fact, we're going to dive deep into the Executive Summit. And today I'd like to welcome my guests, my colleagues. We have Tim Swartz, Rebecca Giefer, and Nate Troxell. How's everyone doing today?
We're doing great. Thank you for having us this evening.
Oh, man, I'm super excited to have everyone on this panel today. And I'm super excited to learn more about your journey in leadership, but also how the Executive Summit has really changed how you lead and how it's changed your career in general. But before we get started, we always got to know who are we talking to, who's on the call. And let's start with ladies first. Rebecca, if you don't mind sharing who you are, your background, and maybe even sharing how you got into Eyecare, if you don't mind. I'd love to learn about that.
Absolutely. So I'm the CEO of MODO Americas. We're a privately owned independent company with offices in New York, Milan, and Stockholm. We're long-term members of the Vision Council, and I've been on a couple different committees. One right now, I'm the chair of the Marketing and Communications Committee, and I've been on the EOL committee in the past, which has led me to actually serve on the board for almost 5 years. And what else did you want me to answer? Oh, how did I get started in optical? So listen, I went to NYU, and if I throw a stone out of my office window, I would hit my campus, NYU. So MODO's positioned right by NYU's campus in downtown Manhattan. It was a little bit of an unusual position. I started as a temp with a good education, and I was still looking to find myself. And I ended up getting lucky enough to work for a company that had a great owner. So Alessandro Lennaro is the owner of MODO. He founded it about 30 years ago, and he mentored me from day one as a freshman or as a graduate from NYU and a new person in the professional scene. I feel like I fell into a really unique experience.
I love it. And the one thing that you said that I really love was that mentorship piece. We need more mentors in the world. They can really help guide you in the right direction. So thank you for so much, Rebecca, for sharing your background, your story, your why. Tim, you're up next, my friend. Let's hear it.
All right. I'm Tim Swartz. I'm a Senior VP of Optical with Allure Eyewear, which is a division of Marchand and VSP. And over the past 6 years, I've been a member of the Vision Council's programming committee. In the past 3 years, I've had the privilege of being the chair of that committee, which is a great group of diverse members of the Vision Council from all the different facets of the Vision Council: frames, wholesale, lenses, retail. And, you know, we work together, participate to plan the Executive Summit. It's been an interesting few years, Dr. Glover, with I think from 2020, when we were the last probably gathering event prior to shutdown for COVID, to a remote summit, to a canceled or postponed one last year. So we're very anxious to get back up and running this year with our in-person event. How did I get into the optical business? I was in the eyewear on the retail side with a department store in Florida, over the counter business, and one of the owners of the company that I worked for, Atlantis Eyewear at the time, took a chance on me as a brand manager for one of our licenses, and then we were able to convert that license into the optical frame business, which was a new category for us. And he took a chance and moved me over to help organize and run that team, which was just a tremendous experience, and really learned about the optical community, which is just such a special industry.
It is a special industry, and it's special because of the impact that we make day in and day out. It could be on the retail side, it could be on the medical side, it could be on the professional services side. It doesn't matter what side you're on, but we're all on the side of impact, and that's what we do, and that's what we do as leaders. Now, I'm not going to say you're the last, but you are the last here, Nate. If you don't mind sharing your background, I've had the privilege of hanging out with you on the podcast previously. We have a partnership with the Vision Council, and I just want to give the Vision Council a round of applause, man. You guys have had a hell of a year. I mean, every Vision Expo this year, East and West, has just been phenomenal. I've really enjoyed myself at every event, and I'm super excited to learn more about your background, Nate, if you don't mind sharing it, but also if you could give us a little background of what the Executive Summit is all about and kind of paint that picture so folks can understand it a little bit better.
Absolutely. Yeah, I'm Nate Troxell. Again, second time now on the podcast, so I feel like I'm a returning celebrity, right? So I'll do a quick intro. But I'm the Director of Business Development and Special Projects. As we discussed before, Special Projects ends up taking over probably like 80% of your life because it can be anything that nobody else really wants to take ownership of. But I actually got into the industry almost 20 years ago. I was working at an advertising agency that worked with the Transitions Optical account. They were getting ready and gearing up for their next gen launch, which if you're keeping track at home, I think that's Gen 4 in today's parlance. So here we are, 4 generations later with Gen 8 that's come out now. So I was doing some work, really helping drive some trade promotions for them, and it just sort of I got a bug for the industry. I was doing some other accounts and doing some other projects and some other programs and campaigns, but something about optical just sort of stuck with me. I escaped for a little bit and got out and was at the retail company American Eagle Outfitters, doing some e-commerce back in the day before we knew what to call it. We didn't know to call it e-commerce. It was just somebody set up a website and we were selling jeans and t-shirts and it was making some money. So let's figure out how to do this thing. So did that for a bit, got a call a couple of years later from PPG, which at the time was one of the parent companies of Transitions. And I spent about 15 years managing their global marketing for their optical materials and lens division. So really great opportunity just to get back into the industry. I sort of fought it for a little bit, but it pulls you back in, and it's truly a great industry. As you mentioned, the Executive Summit and the Vision Council in general, I think for me, it was an interesting journey because I was aware of the Vision Council sort of on the side, through some of the programs that we did with Transitions and some of those relationships that we had with a few other clients, but didn't really fully grasp what the Vision Council was all about until when I came back to the industry at PPG. I had the real fortune just to get plugged into the Vision Council early on, and I joined the marketing communications committee, and that really helped me to understand sort of what the organization is trying to do as a leader in the industry, and pulling together a vast array, a wide spectrum of companies across a pretty complex value chain to try to bring us all together to promote what it means to care about vision, to care about patients, and ultimately to think about the customer, because there are some of our products and some of our brands that don't necessarily think in language of patient, but they think in a brand experience if it's a pair of non-prescription sunglasses. So it's just a really fun and broad space, but was really excited to get plugged in, and then was more than honored to join the organization right before COVID. So it's been a fun journey and an exciting one along the way.
Absolutely. And tonight I really want to dive into the Executive Summit and also leadership, and just really talk a little bit more about your journeys and how the Executive Summit has really impacted who you are as leaders within your organizations. But before we get started with that, I'm curious to learn a little bit more about the Executive Summit. And I want to know why Tim and Rebecca keep going back every single year. If you don't mind sharing, what is that secret sauce that keeps drawing you into this summit?
Rebecca?
Sure. For me, really the keynotes. We've had some great speakers. I can recall Jim Collins being one of my favorites a few years back. And being from a smaller to mid-sized business, I wouldn't have access to the caliber of his thought leadership on my own. And so going to that executive summit gave me some exposure and access. Another recurring guest at the summit speaker is the economist Brian Bolio, and his presentation each year is some really good information. So
nice. How about yourself, Tim?
I really look forward to the gathering. Just the industry. Some of my best friends are in the industry. And the opportunity to gather together, to share ideas, and to share the community that we have. I can't tell you how much I look forward to that. I look forward to the learning, the speakers, getting, helping evolve my leadership, right? And it's just a place where the timing of it at the beginning of the year, when you're engaging, at the beginning of the season, really is such a great liftoff or platform, for the coming season.
Yeah, I like that. This is the perfect way to start off the new year. I almost feel like we should have leadership conferences almost quarterly, so we can always have it in our system, right?
Yeah.
We start off the year strong, but sometimes we don't start off as strong in our leadership. But to have that consistent touch point throughout the year will make a world of difference. But at least we have the Vision Council to hit us off and start us off with the year with the blast, and to make sure that we have all the leadership skills we need to be successful in our exam lanes and outside of the exam lanes. Now, when I think of an executive summit, I got a lot of what I like to call OGs, right? What I call seasoned eye care professionals, what I call veterans in leadership. But when I think of this, I wonder, my millennial colleagues out there, my seasoned colleagues, who's the audience for this summit? Who should go here? If you don't mind maybe sharing about that and express what, each one of these demographics may pull from this.
Sure. Yeah. The executive summit, really it's designed to be a great event for, I would say, both the rising leaders and also those established rock stars, right? The folks who've been around in the industry for a while. I think we strive to strike a pretty good balance between content that's going to inspire, but also content that will inform. And then when it comes down to networking, as Tim mentioned, there's no better gathering of colleagues, of friends, of new individuals that you maybe have never met before, where you get some one-on-one time in a way where there aren't sort of conflicting or competing agendas, right? Where we can come together and we're all there to sort of start the year with intention and start the year off to really sort of lay the groundwork for where we're headed. I think the content that we have at the summit, it's always top notch. And I think we work hard, as Tim mentioned, on the program committee to really be thoughtful about what that content is and how that content can appeal to, as you mentioned, Daryl, the full spectrum of attendees, whether they're just starting in their career, whether they've been doing this for 3 or 4 decades.
Yeah, it's just always good to have a resource, a reliable resource that can provide, fantastic speakers, fantastic programming that's going to really add value to who you are as a person, professionally and also personally, right? And the Vision Council has done a tremendous job with that, with all this programming, top to bottom, and especially with the executive summit that you have going on. Now, I know there's a lot of keynote speakers, a lot of great times, a lot of great education, but there's also some fun. Word on the street is someone's going to be playing pickleball out there. Now, let me tell you about my experience with pickleball. I've never played a day in my life, but I practice. I see patients, right? And in my community, I have 4 55-plus communities around me. And I've been invited. I get invited maybe once a week by one of these 55-plus folks to come in and play pickleball. And I've said this previously on the show. I'm not going to lie. I'm scared to go play with them because they will embarrass me. I know they will. And they'll be talking about me behind my back. So I am going to try to learn how to play so I can get out there and also play with my patients, but also so I can go out with a bang. Now, I'm not saying I'm going to be out here taking advantage of 55-plus-year-olds playing pickleball, but I need to step my game up before I go out there and embarrass myself. But I would love to learn more about each and every one of your experiences with pickleball and what that's going to look like at the Executive Summit.
Any other pickleballer players? I forget, Rebecca, Tim? You said
I
you haven't
wish.
played yet.
Yeah.
And,
I wish. It's something I haven't really tapped into, but I could train. I could be ready.
Hey, it's
I could
hot
be
right
ready.
now. Everybody's playing pickleball. It's like
oh, yeah.
it's been around for a while, but I mean, like literally, people come in and they take it seriously. They want me to enhance their vision. That way they can have the edge on their competitors. It is a true sport and they do not play around with it. I'm telling you, Rebecca.
I'm telling you, so
That's
all the lens manufacturers out there watching this, make sure somebody better be designing that pickleball lens designer right now, because there is a market just ready for it. Now we always do a golf event, right? When we still have the golf outing, it's going to be there on Monday morning, and we're excited to welcome back the golfers in person. I think they've been itching to get back out at the Summit Golf event. But as we were looking at some other activities that we could do, we've tried some different things. We did a hike at Las Vegas for Vision Expo West, and that was really a fun way to do something different. And as we looked at the facilities, we're going to be in Austin at the Barton Creek Resort, and it's a fantastic facility. I mean, they got great golf courses, but they also, as we were digging a little deeper, they have a fantastic racket complex. And so as we were asking, any chance you guys could do a pickleball thing? They said absolutely. So we said, why not? I got introduced earlier this summer by my father, right? So Daryl, that age demographic that you were talking about earlier. And I thought, oh, this is gonna, who we kidding, right? Like I can do this. I used to play racquetball with him and get embarrassed because nobody's better at racquetball than retired colonels from the Army. They play with like a ping pong sized paddle racket. They got shorts on that are way too short. They got their not just birth control glasses, but they got their rec spec birth control glasses, and he could just destroy me. But I figured, I think I can do this outdoor game of pickleball. But it's a wild game. There's some silly rules. There's a kitchen. I mean, it's crazy. So we got the kids involved. We got 2 young boys, and now we've got a little neighborhood group that we run up to the country club, and we get out there and play when we can. So it's been fun. And I heard from somebody in Vegas that she was looking for some courts in Vegas to play at Vision Expo West. So I'm like, okay, all right, let's go ahead and do this pickleball thing at the Executive Summit. I think we could have a good time getting out there and doing something a little different, right? So we're excited.
It's fun.
I love it. I mean, it's thinking outside of the box, right? You want to bring creativity to your colleagues, and bringing pickleball is definitely a creative way to bring a different demographic into this Executive Summit. But I'm serious, man. My patient base, they love pickleball. As a matter of fact, I have a patient that owns a store. They opened it during COVID that revolves around pickleball supplies and items. And he told me that their store has done tremendously well because of the uptick in the interest of the game. As a matter of fact, to take it a step further, maybe about 4 or 5 minutes from my house, they're building a whole new racquetball facility that's going to have all of these things. I mean, like, this is the wave. So all my colleagues out there, all my eye care professionals, this is an opportunity to step into a whole new world where you can draw new patients into your practice. I mean, you can have conversations about daily contacts. You can have conversations about sports goggles. You can have conversations about, dominant, non-dominant eyes, multifocal contact lens. That way they have their depth perception and all that other jazz. This really opens up the door to more conversation. Be aware of it, because there will be a 55 plus, or in Nate's case, 55 and under colleague coming to you soon. All right, to ask about this.
No, yeah, it's crazy. It's going to be fun. I mean, it's one of those things, as you said, we're trying to mix it up, trying to do some things a little bit differently. We're still going to have all of the great keynote content that everybody's excited for. As I mentioned, like striking that balance between inspiration and information. I think some of the keynotes I think are just really going to sort of blow people away. We're going to try to kick things off with a good amount of inspiration, and then lead into some meaty discussions on the informed side of that equation. We've got 2 speakers that are former Amazon executives who actually worked alongside Jeff Bezos as he was basically building up that company during sort of that period of just unmatched innovation. So those 2 gentlemen, Bill Carr and Colin Breyer, they're really going to help to sort of, uncover some of those secrets. Like, I think they've got 14 or 15 leadership principles that they took away from their time at Amazon that really help to inform and instruct their decision making. So some really meaty topics like that, and then also shifting on the inspiration side, we've got Jessica Buchanan's lined up to tell her dramatic story of her rescue by SEAL Team 6. I think just a little over 10 years ago, upon President Obama's direction. So she's going to really share how to embrace change, and create those strategies to survive and thrive. So how to lean into those moments and realize that, well, maybe change is your proof of life, and that it's going to continue happening, and we're all here for it. So that's just some of those balance of saying, let's have some fun with pickleball, let's set up some great networking opportunities, but let's also create some great opportunities to learn and to seek some inspiration from leaders and visionaries and others who can tell their story and pass it on to us.
I love it. And I really like that speaker about change. I mean, right now we're in a forever changing landscape when it comes to eye care. This is inside the exam lane, outside the exam lane. I mean, when you think about what optometry was 3 years ago, 2 years ago, 1 year ago, hell, even 30 days ago, things are forever changing. And we have to have that mindset as optometrists, right? And I think sometimes we are the worst to changing our mindset, right? I mean, we still have that phoropter in our exam lane where you can flip one or two. Yes, we have some automated ones, but I can tell you, majority of the ODs out there, they have that old school phoropter because we're afraid of change. And that's why you have to attend summits like this, because they bring thought-provoking keynote speakers that come in and really get your neurons firing off and thinking a different way. A lot of times we surround ourselves with leaders that do the same thing that we do day in and day out. Sometimes we got to step outside of our industry and we got to see what other people are doing. We got to think outside of the box. And that's what the Executive Summit provides. So I definitely want everyone to tune in. It's January 9th through the 11th in Austin, Texas. You got to make sure you check it out, because I know I'm going to be there. I want to see everyone there, and I want to continue to lead with you guys. Now, Rebecca, I want to kind of pivot to you. I want to talk a little bit more about your leadership journey, if you don't mind, and maybe share how events like the Executive Summit have actually helped you become a better leader over time.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. So thinking about my professional experience here at MODO is a bit of a leadership journey. It started before MODO. It started because I was a collegiate soccer player. And so I had leadership development through kind of sport. And I think sport does that. So some paths were paved in terms of communication and skills. When I ended up finding myself on the customer service team here at MODO and under Alessandro's mentorship, which I already mentioned, it was kind of a perfect balance between something that could use leadership skills and this privately owned independent boutique company that had some scaling up and growth to do. It's been 18 years here, and I've been a young leader, a mid-tier leader, and now CEO of the Americas. So there's been a lot of change in my work in the organization. But I'll tell you, at like the mid-tier, it was amazing when I started to participate and engage with the Vision Council because of some resources it offers related to governance and topics related to Prop 65. The 301 tariffs, market research was a really important thing for me. And I remember the Vision Council had like a on-the-road sales coach that I ended up using a lot of that content when I was managing my sales team. And then just the networking and trade shows. So I feel like I ended up becoming a bit of a super user in the member base of the Vision Council's resources. And that led me to discover the Emerging Optical Leaders Committee. And then that was something I ended up getting involved with. And this group is a group of members that has access to leadership development, networking opportunities, and they're really young executives that are in the membership of the Vision Council. I think the importance of a younger executive group like the EOL is that it helps provide unique insights on the strategic goals of the trade association. And I think just the engagement and participation of this body of members is important to broaden the point of view that even the board would have, but the organization has as they are navigating their mission. So I think I was a super user of the Vision Council resources. I got plugged in to EOL and then ended up being on the board, as I also already mentioned. I should do one duty that I haven't mentioned, that the Vision Council is offering EOL scholarships to the executive committee or the executive summit in January. And this week, nominations are accepted on the website, the Vision Council website, through this Friday, November 18th. So that's my plug for EOL.
Yeah, this is a big deal. So thank you, Rebecca, for teeing that up. So we're excited because we're going to give away 10 first-time Executive Summit attendees are going to get free registration for the event. And what we're really trying to do is to try to bring some people who have never attended the summit before and who are newer or younger in their career, give them a chance to get exposed to the content, get connected with other individuals and other leaders in the industry to really help to sort of jumpstart their journey and their experience, because there really is no better place to do it than the Executive Summit to get connected with the industry in just a great way. So it's a great opportunity. The nominations, we've got a number that have already been submitted. We're excited to see that there was a lot of interest already, but we'd love to get a few more nominations so that we can make the decision even harder for us, right? So please, if you're listening and if you have somebody in your organization who you think would benefit from this type of event, please nominate them on the website, and we'll consider them for that scholarship opportunity.
Thank you so much, Nate, for that, and thank you so much, Rebecca. Tim, before we get to you, Rebecca, I want to circle back to you. You know, the one thing that I love to see in our industry is the rise and increase in diversity, and especially diversity in leadership. And, you know, there's a lot of young ladies out there that's looking at you like, wow, I want to be like Rebecca. And I'm curious to know, what has been your biggest challenge as a CEO, as a woman, and what's the greatest advice that you can give to all the ladies out there that want to get to that leadership position at some point in time in their career?
I think my experience in my professional journey and my leadership journey really has been in this independent, privately owned company. I keep repeating that, but it is quite unique compared to some of the bigger players in our industry. And so I think my experience doesn't speak to everyone, but what I'll say is I really put my head down and worked really hard. And I think one of the challenges is sometimes coming up, looking around and figuring out how can you take the experiences and bring people up with you. And that's something that I'm cognizant of, that I have a duty to do better at. And so I think the challenge for me really ahead is making sure that I figure out ways of helping connect people and give mentorship now, right? So I had great experience being a mentee. Now it's time for me to step out and do that. And I think the challenge has been awareness to do it for me. Yeah. I know many people have different scenarios. Dr. Glover is, as a female executive, like, I know I've had conversations with different scenarios. So I don't want to think that this is the only challenge for female leaders, is to remember to raise up other female leaders. But I think there is an obligation and loyalty, and that has been something I've forgotten about because I was so busy working hard.
No, I love that. And I think it's great to always have diverse perspectives, right? Your experience is going to be different from someone else's experience. But as long as we're talking about these experiences, it's going to help us grow as leaders. And I think that's something that, you know, we all got to practice more, is telling our stories, but also practice inclusive leadership. And, you know, that's something that I love to see a part of the Vision Council. I mean, you guys practice what you preach, right? Ashley Mills, your CEO, that's your fierce leader. She's always doing a hell of a job. So I really appreciate everything that the Vision Council is doing. Now, Tim, we got to take it to you, my man. We can't leave you out in the dark. You got to let me know your leadership journey, but also how has events like the Executive Summit really helped to elevate and take your leadership skills to the next level?
Sure. I would just start, Dr. Glover, by saying there are men in the industry that admire Rebecca's leadership skills also. So she's just been a great friend over the years. You know, I think probably like many other folks in my position, you know, we gained our leadership position through individual contribution, right? And probably, you know, a combination of the individual contribution and someone's vision that you had the ability to teach, you know, to teach that skill. And what I've learned, and I've tried to continually improve, is the idea that, you know, being a leader it's more than reaching goals. It's about helping people reach and exceed their potential, right? Because everybody feels better if they're doing better than they think they could, on an individual. It's just, I think when you can bring out success in people, it's better for the common good, right? I think through the years, the Vision Council for me, I participated in the committees for years. For a few years, we were advisors to the EOL. On the program committee, you're just surrounded by really brilliant people, just, people that I admire, and when you're around people like that, you learn, and so for me, just being in that community, I think the Vision Council provides such a great opportunity to surround yourself with insightful people and grow and develop as a leader, and while you're helping the industry, move forward. So it's been a tremendous organization to be a part of.
Yeah, the one consistent theme that I keep hearing from you and Rebecca is truly being able to help others and bring others up. And I think that's huge. I think sometimes when people look at leadership, they do look at more of influence, more of this and that, and guidance. But when you can really help bring people up and elevate other people around you and let those people really work in their strengths, it's game changing. And I'm seeing that with a lot of the leaders in the eye care industry. I had the opportunity of interviewing Jim McGran the other day, and we were talking about his journey in leadership. And a lot of the things that everyone on this call has mentioned, he mentioned. So the good thing is that there's consistency in our leadership within our eye care industry, right? But another good thing is that we have an industry full of fantastic leaders. I mean, just think what we can do with our industry if we all come together. Think about what we can do to healthcare if we all come together. Think about what we can do to the world and the impact and the change and the shift that we can truly make if we all practice leadership skills. I want to give a shout out to one of my mentors, Dr. Tracy Glendenning. She always tells the students and me that, your leaders inside the exam lane and outside the exam lane. And that's something us as eye care professionals and optometrists really have to understand, that you are forced to be leaders. You have no choice but to be a leader. So it's very important to hone in on those skills and make sure that you help others and help others, get to where they want to go. And I really appreciate, your candid feedback and your leadership skills. Now, Nate, you got to take us home, my man. You got to bring us home. What does this conference mean to you? What does that leadership journey look like to you? We'd love to hear from you, my friend.
Yeah, I think I echo what Tim and Rebecca said, probably 1,000 times over. For me, it's the connections and the opportunities that I've made and the opportunities that have been presented to me at the summit and at other events across the industry. It's really not just the executive summit, but it's, as you mentioned, we do have a fantastic industry made up of incredible people and inspiring leaders, and to be able to come together and to be sort of as one industry for a moment, right? Especially at the beginning of the year, I think is just a great way to sort of realign ourselves and to make sure that we are embracing this opportunity and this challenge that we have to help people embrace their vision and to hopefully see and experience their world in a different and incredible way. We're excited for the executive summit. It's been a number of years. It's been 3 years since we've done it in person. It's exciting to sort of build on the momentum and the excitement coming out of Las Vegas with Vision Expo West. I think it's just a really great opportunity for us to reconnect. Austin is a new location for us. Normally we're on either side of the country, on the East Coast or the West Coast, but now we're going to switch it up by going right in the middle and head into the live music capital of the world. We're going to embrace that live music element. We got a great band that we're looking at for Tuesday night, and man, I'm really excited. Can't announce it yet, but I'm really excited for that opportunity to bring that band to you. And then one of our keynotes, she is known as classical music's #1 maverick, Jade Simmons. She's going to close our event on Wednesday. And it is not to be missed. The things that I have seen as we've been pulling this content together, she is outstanding. And to again embrace that sort of musical culture of Austin, to embrace where we're at, I think is going to be a great event. So we're really excited again to be bringing everybody back together in person. You can sign up, you can register on the Vision Council's website at thevisioncouncil.org. The event is open to everyone, to members and non-members. So there's really no one who's not invited to the event. And I think there's just a great opportunity to make some new contacts, to see some old friends, and hopefully make a couple new ones along the way.
I love it. I love it. The pathway to leadership in eye care. This is the place where you can take your leadership skills to the next level. The Executive Summit. Make sure you show up. Make sure you bring your pens, your notepads, bring friends, colleagues. We want you to continue to be a leader and take it to the next level. And we know that we have, an amazing resource at our fingertips. I want to thank everyone on this panel this evening for hanging out with me. This has been very special. We're in a special industry, and it's because of leaders like you three. Continue the great work. Friends and family, we're going to see you in Austin, and make sure you're ready for pickleball and some great music, in addition to some leadership stuff as well. But it's your favorite optometrist, Dr. Daryl Glover. Stay healthy, stay positive, stay blessed, and continue to be leaders. Until next time, peace. All right, colleagues, and it's a wrap. Thank you dearly for hanging out with the Defocus Media team. We hope truly something resonated with you. And if it did, be sure to give us 5 stars and make sure you follow us on all social media platforms: Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, LinkedIn, you named it. And our handle is at Defocus Media on all platforms. And until next time, be sure to keep it 2020, and we look forward to